Derrick Lewis gets a massive KO, but was it an early stoppage? Did Wonderboy do enough to win, and was that fight a robbery? Is Steve Garcia next up? All those questions will be answered in this video. I'll be giving you my full entire reaction to the full card of UFC Fight Night Nashville. I'm going to kind of breeze through the prelims and then take a little bit more time on the main card. So let's get into it. Like I said, I'm going to breeze through kind of the prelims, and as the fights go up in more importance, I'm going to take more time on them. Klein versus Martinez. Klein does exactly what we expected her to do, gets a crazy finish, and wins that fight. Good performance overall, did what she was supposed to do. Mike Davis goes out and handles business against Mitch Ramirez exactly as we expected him to. He's now won 5 of his last 6, so he could be a pretty good prospect. Somebody keep your eyes on him. Maybe could make his way into the rankings with a couple more wins. So Walker submits Nezuchuku. I did not see this coming. I did not pick Walker to win this. Everybody's like, man, Walker by heel hook, man. People forget, man, Walker's won his last 2 fights by heel hook. And I was like, get out of here, bro. He's not winning 3 in a row by heel hook. You're crazy. And he did. He won 3 fights in a row by heel hook. 1 more, and he's probably the best heel hook practitioner in BJJ history. No, but in all seriousness, Walker does look kind of deadly. He's got good submission for a heavyweight. And yeah, he just sank right into that heel hook from standing, just dropped right into it. It looked pretty clean. It looked pretty good. So yeah, Walker with 3 in a row by heel hook. That's wild. And we all cried in Murphy's retirement against Mora. We all cried. Trust me, I know, guys, we cried. That was just, it was heartbreaking. But yeah, Murphy retires. Mora sends her to a retirement, just as we all predicted. Another huge favorite winning. So yeah, we started off pretty hot. These were all easy fights to pick. Jake Matthews comes out of nowhere and gets a really good dub. Honestly, his wrestling looked really good. This is probably the highest level we have ever seen Jake Matthews look. I know he can be very inconsistent sometimes. I did pick Jake Matthews. He was a slight underdog, but he could be making a push to the top 15 if he keeps looking like this. Then we got Chris Curtis versus Max Griffin. And if you're wondering why a lot of people hate Chris Curtis, just go back and watch this fight. I mean, he was complaining from the start of the fight to the end of the fight. He started taunting when the rounds were like 1-1. Like, I mean, it really wasn't a good look. He didn't look great. His shell is kind of hard to crack when he gets in range. He has pretty good movement, unorthodox movement when he gets in range. But from range, he was kind of getting pieced. By the jabs of Max, because he kind of lunges in with his jabs. So Chris Curtis was kind of getting touched a little bit, especially in the first round, which I thought he lost the first round. So yeah, Chris Curtis did end up getting it done though. Had a pretty dominant 3rd round and was taunting. I mean, this guy, he was complaining the whole fight. I don't know, man. Something rubs me wrong about Chris Curtis. I also do like Max Griffin, so that could be another reason. Max Griffin's just a funny dude, unorthodox fighter, and he looks super stiff. He's not a great prospect, but I mean, he's funny to watch. He's humble, cool dude. So yeah. Then we had Tafa versus Tukos for probably the loser of this fight to be the worst in the UFC, and we saw that Tafa is definitely the worst fighter in the UFC. I mean, he looked awful, and I picked him to win just because Tukos didn't even have a single UFC win, and he came in and mauled him and submitted him in the 2nd round. So yeah, Tafa just, I mean, he's terrible. I would be genuinely shocked if he doesn't get cut after this performance. Vitor Petrino comes out and handles business against a pretty bad opponent, a pretty much a can. So yeah, Vitor Petrino came out and did exactly what he was supposed to do. I took him by KO, and this actually ruined one of my parlays because he won by sub in the 1st round. If he would have won by KO, I would have cashed out really good. We still ended up profitable on the night, but we would have came out really good if he ended up winning this fight by KO. But you know, you win some, you lose some. It's okay. And Petrino just kind of got it done. If he would have got fraud checked again, his career probably would have been a really bad stance because he already got fraud checked twice, and then he moved up weight classes. So this was definitely a must-win for him, and he went out and won like he was supposed to do. Not saying too much yet. We need to definitely see him be tested more. And next we got Nate the Train Landwehr versus Morgan Sherrier. And guys, I'm not going to lie, I'm not too impressed with Morgan Sherrier, even though he did get this one done by KO. So, yeah, Nate started off, I think he got dropped in the 1st round. Then he was able to survive it, and he came out, and he had a very dominant and very good 2nd round. And you kind of saw the momentum shift. There was a time where the odds turned into, like, pick'em odds. The fight got super close, and when the odds dropped to, like, -110, I doubled down on Morgan Sherrier. I bet on him some more money, and he actually started looking even worse. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a time where he became a heavy underdog like at plus 200, plus 300 at some point during the fight, because even after I took him at like minus 110, he continued to still lose and lost the second round. He even was getting pieced up in the third round at first. So, yeah, he was looking like he was going to lose this fight, and I thought my money was gone. Then he ended up getting a crazy KO in the third round. I texted my Discord when he got down. I said, guys, take advantage of these swaps, of these odd swaps. And, yeah, so we took advantage of the odd swaps when it got close, and Morgan ended up getting the KO. I did see Nate slow down a little bit. That's why I said that. But, yeah, so Nate, he did look like for a second that he was going to be able to get this one done. Morgan ended up getting a KO. But like I said, I'm not too, like, hyped about what I saw from Morgan. I think he was probably a bit overrated coming into this fight. So the fact that he was kind of getting pieced up, his cardio didn't really look that good, because we know Nate the Train's not a guy that has, like, insane cardio, especially not recently. So he was getting out cardioed by Nate. So, yeah, Morgan didn't look that impressive to me, guys, but he did still find a way to get this one done by KO, so you can't knock him too much. But I know people are just going to see a KO win on his record next time he fights, overrate him again. So we'll be watching out for that on the odds next time to see when a lot of people might be picking him, when if they gave him a matchup that's not favorable, we'll probably fade him. So, yeah, Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia was a very fun fight to watch. Steve Garcia took a very, very slow approach in the first round, was really getting the timing down, and then just completely unloaded on the second and third round. Third round was a massacre. He was dominating Kattar, and Steve Garcia looks really, really good. He has a huge reach. He has great distance management. I mean, Steve Garcia looks good, like a good prospect. He's 6 foot at the featherweight division, which is very, very tall for a featherweight. And, I mean, there's not much to say other than Steve Garcia completely picked apart Calvin Kattar. And Calvin Kattar's obviously slowing down. He looks washed, but I can't even say he wouldn't do this to prime Calvin Kattar just because Garcia looked that good. So, yeah, Garcia's definitely a name to keep your eyes on as he probably moves up the featherweight ranks. I would love to see this guy fight like a Sean Woodson. I think he would beat Sean Woodson. I think he would definitely piece up Sean Woodson. So, yeah, Garcia probably will move into top 15 after this win, and keep your eyes on him. Moving into the co-main event, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson started off the first round kind of slow, probably lost the first round, but in the second round had a huge moment where he wobbled Bonfim and like really wobbled him. Like he was dazed, didn't know where he was at. And Thompson kind of tried to load it on him, but I think that did enough to definitely win him the second round. So going into the third round, it was pretty much a consensus that the fight was 1-1. It was 1-1, and then the third round, we saw just the epitome of effective striking versus ineffective grappling. I mean, we saw just stalling from Bonfim, and we saw effective striking from Thompson. At one point, Bonfim ducked into a head kick by Thompson, and it landed so flush. Thompson definitely had the way bigger moments in this round 3. And if we're going damage-based scoring like the UFC is supposed to be, Stephen Thompson won this fight. But even though the UFC and MMA claims to be damage-based scoring, with the way that they've been judging fights recently, I genuinely do not believe this is damage-based scoring. We have seen just time and time again efficient striking versus inefficient wrestling, and the inefficient wrestler wins these fights and wins these decisions. And it sucks to watch. I do think it was a robbery if we're going by damage-based scoring, because I think Stephen Thompson had the bigger moments in the third round and the second round. And Lucas Tracy comes out and says, I think there's a case that this was not a robbery, and there's even a case that Stephen Thompson won round 2. And genuinely, I would expect nothing less from a huge Merab glazer. This guy only glazes wrestling. He genuinely doesn't care about the damage that's done in the fights. He put Merab over GSP all time. So, yeah, I mean, he also put Arman Saruki in top 20 all time. Just another, grappler that doesn't have much else to his name. A lot of people thought that Charles Oliveira versus Arman was a robbery at the time. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect nothing less from a guy like Lucas Tracy to believe that this was not a robbery. But in my eyes, we're going by damage-based scoring. It was a robbery. Stephen Thompson absolutely had the way bigger moment in round 2, had the biggest moment of the fight, and he had the way more damage done in round 3. And we're scoring fights based on damage. We're not scoring fights based on, hugging or control time. Like, we're not doing that. That's not how you score an MMA fight. So I think Stephen Thompson won this fight. I do think it was a robbery, especially if we're going by damage-based scoring, which the UFC claims to be. So, yeah, Stephen Thompson was robbed, and it sucks to see, and I'm tired of them rewarding inefficient grappling. And then the last fight, Derrick Lewis versus Tallison Teixeira. It started off, Tallison Teixeira landed like a jab, I think it was, and Lewis starts holding his eye. I think he maybe was complaining that it was an eye poke. It looked like Teixeira's like knuckle grazed his eye or something, I'm not sure. But then Derrick Lewis starts, like, I think Teixeira realized he maybe hurt him. He starts pushing in, and boom, Derrick Lewis unloads 2 overhands both ways, one right, one left. The left hand landed very clean on the chin of Teixeira and dropped him. As he got dropped, he looked pretty dazed for a second. Derrick Lewis jumped on top of him. I thought he was going to be over. He's trying to finish him ground and pound. But Teixeira looked like he regained consciousness, and he didn't ever look worse. He didn't look like any of the ground and pound shots really kept putting it out. But the ref kind of let it go for a little bit, and Tallison Teixeira was trying to regain where he was, standing up. He grabs onto the cage to stand up, and just when he looks like he's back in the fight, stands up, turns around, squares up to Derrick Lewis. Just when he looks like he's back in the fight, the ref stops the fight. So it was a kind of a weird stoppage due to the fact that, I feel like if the fight would have been stopped, it probably should have been stopped before Teixeira stood up. But Teixeira used the fence to stand up at the same time. So if what do you do in this situation? Because if you don't stop the fight and you don't punish a fighter for using the fence to stand up, then that's going to be the new meta. Every time somebody's rocked, they're going to grab the fence to stand up. So, I don't know. Do you stop the fight and reward them a point? Take away a point from them? Because same thing, fighters are just going to start doing that. Because if fighters can think, oh, well, I can stay alive and just lose the round by a point if I grab onto the cage, or maybe even tie the round, then I'm going to do that when I'm hurt. So I'm not mad at the stoppage, because I think you have to make an example out of somebody. And if grabbing the cage is going to be seen as a new meta because you let this one go, then yeah, absolutely make an example out of somebody, because, it's not okay for him to think that he can just grab the cage and get away with stuff like that. At the same time, I think it was kind of weird the way it happened, because it didn't happen until after he had already kind of squared back up. But like I said, I'm genuinely not mad at the stoppage. This is coming from a guy who didn't pick Derrick Lewis, who isn't really a huge Derrick Lewis fan. I think he's fun to watch, but I think his, underwear gimmick is kind of overrated or whatever, overplayed. So I'm not a huge Derrick Lewis fan. I think he's fun to watch. I think he's entertaining, but I wasn't sitting here just rooting for Derrick Lewis. I thought Tallison Teixeira, a win for him, would advance the division more, because we get a new prospect in the division in the top 10. So I was really going for Teixeira, because I felt like it was going to move the division farther up. Because some guy was live on TikTok just saying, oh my gosh, everybody thinks this was an early stoppage because y'all love Derrick Lewis. No, I genuinely think it was a correct stoppage. Like I said, I'm not mad at the stoppage. Was it kind of early? Yeah, it's kind of early. But was it bad? I wouldn't say it was bad, because, what are you going to do? You cannot reward fighters grabbing the cage. You genuinely cannot reward fighters grabbing the cage. So if you let them survive, then everybody's going to start grabbing the cage. And this coming from a guy who was not going for Derrick Lewis, because I felt like Teixeira would move the heavyweight division, forward more. So for these people on TikTok to be like, oh my God, this was an absolutely terrible stoppage, and y'all are only saying it wasn't because y'all like Derrick Lewis, that's genuinely not true. You have to make an example out of somebody, or else cage grabbing is going to be the new meta. In the same way, you got to start making examples out of these inefficient grapplers who are stalling. So I hope they start doing that soon as well. But yeah, from here on, I don't know what we do with the heavyweight division. I don't know who you give Teixeira. Maybe somebody around 15. I don't know. I don't know who you give Teixeira at this point. And I don't know who you give Derrick Lewis. Maybe a Volkov rematch. I don't know. I would like to see him move up. I think he would beat, if you gave him Waldo Cortez Acosta, I think he would beat a Sergey Spivak. I think he wins those fights. So I wouldn't want to see, Derrick Lewis maybe has 2 fights left in the tank. So I wouldn't want to see one of those fights wasted on somebody who's not a contender. I'd like to see Derrick Lewis maybe get a Volkov, and then the winner of that gets Aspinall or something like that. I would like to see us moving him forward, trying to give him one last title shot, because he's got 2 fights left probably in him before he retires. He's 40 years old, guys, and that camp's taking a lot out of him. So yeah, I'd like to see him try to make one last push at this point. People are talking about, you haven't seen Lewis versus Aspinall, so I know a lot of people are talking about that, and I wouldn't be mad at that if he gets one more good win over somebody like Volkov, because Volkov really beat Gane. So Yeah, that's my takes on the entire card. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I got a Discord link in the bio. We have a Discord for the channel and a Discord for the community. We're live in there talking MMA every single day. So if you enjoy talking MMA, you enjoy community, I also comment back. I also respond to DMs on TikTok. I have my TikTok in the bio as well. So yeah, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, just listening to my recap of the event. And that's what I thought. I know I kind of hit on the main event and the co-main way more than the rest, but everything else was kind of pretty much went as expected, and it doesn't move the divisions like an insane amount like the co-main and the main event did. So I really want to talk about it. Even the co-main doesn't really like move the division too much, but it can move the future of the UFC depending on how this scoring, this grappling versus striking scoring goes. So yeah, I definitely wanted to talk about that, but I appreciate you guys tuning in, and make sure you stay tuned. I'll be dropping a couple videos every week live in the Discord, and I go live on TikTok every single day. So yeah, thanks.